would you like to see how I go from this, all my scrap collage papers, to this, my handmade gift tags? A few little close-ups for you. They are super easy to make. Don't go telling me that you aren't artistic. Don't need to be. I'm going to show you how to make them just from scrap pieces of paper. And all you need to be able to do is basically glue, stick and cut. Fancy having a go with me? Let's do it. Okay, materials. I'm going to go through a quick pan through of the materials that I used. These are all things that you should have around the house. You should be able to find bits and pieces. You'll pot around after you've seen this video and see what you can find. Obviously the main component will be scrap pieces of paper. So these are my ideas for paper for you. So this is just wrapping paper, pieces of wrapping paper, which are always colourful and useful. I save everything, so you'll see everything here. This is a piece of coloured doily, piece of tissue paper. I think this is a jelly print that I've printed myself. Again, tissue paper, very useful. Another doily. Piece of painted paper. Obviously not very exciting, but the colours are good. This is just a scribble of pen. More tissue paper, something I've painted myself probably. Just a scrap piece of paper, but I liked that line in there. This is just a piece of packaging from some note cards that I bought, but I do like words and writing. Here I've got an old envelope, pretty envelope, so I thought that might be useful. Piece of jelly print that I've printed myself probably. And this is probably something I've painted myself with dots of paint on a piece of scrap paper. Here are is a paper bag, jelly print, I think. And this is probably a jelly print that I did myself, and I liked it so much I photocopied it so that I can use it again when it's all gone. So I often photocopy bits of paper that I really like. Just a scrap piece of painted paper. This is an old invoice for something that had some just paint splattered on it. Crossword puzzle. Painted piece of scrap paper. Again, just some scribbles on paper. Here are some paint samples on paper. This is an old letter. I do like writing, so I will use, and you can see I use all sorts of shapes of paper. I just rip pieces out randomly. Again, just some writing on paper, silly writing probably. I do like numbers and words. I don't necessarily use all the words or all the numbers, but parts of. Another piece of crossword puzzle. Page out of a book. Okay, words that I've cut out of magazines, always useful. Again, I won't use all the words, I'll just use parts of them. Really liked this one, white on black. Definitely be using something there. Again, pieces cut out of magazines. I liked this stripe in this kettle, so I'll probably use some of that. But I might just randomly tear the page up. Again, pieces out of magazines. I've just enjoyed the colours, so I've just torn pieces out of magazines to use for the colour, basically. So there you can see some ideas. You should be able to find bits around the house that you can use for your collage papers. Never throw away anything. Okay, what else will you need? Well, obviously you're going to need glue. This is just a PVA glue, a water-based glue, or you can use a glue stick. Scissors, you'll need scissors. A paintbrush if you're using the glue, just to paint your glue onto the paper. This is a corner cutter, which you can buy online. I bought mine, I think from Amazon. I think it's called a corner rounder punch. This is how I round the corners of my gift tags. You don't need to, you can keep them square if you want to. So again, it's not essential, but it does finish them off nicely. You will need threads. I use all sorts of embroidery threads, and lots of mine are variegated, but any threads, embroidery threads will do. And you can also use waxed thread, or you can wax it yourself. So I've just got a piece of candle here where I wax the threads myself. It just makes them a little easier to handle. You will need a hole punch. This is a single hole punch, but you could also use any paper punch. Obviously a little bit more tricky to see where the hole is to get your hole exactly in place. So if you have the single hole punch, it's a lot easier. You may want a marker pen, fine marker pen, and I think that's it. So let's make a start. Okay, to start, I have a piece of paper as my, a piece of card as my base. I'm not actually fussed about, I don't want it to be too thick, obviously, because I've got to cut holes in the hole punch in there, and the corners rounded off. So this is probably watercolor paper, probably about 250 GSM, and that will be the base for me to start my collaging on. It doesn't have to be a clean piece. You can see it's an old piece of paper I've got, card I've got here, but I do want it clean the other side, because obviously the other side of the gift tags you're going to be writing to and from on, etc. So that's what I use, but sometimes I just use an old piece of artwork. So here's another piece which I could use, which is just an old piece of artwork, as long as it's clean the other side. Actually this piece isn't, but it doesn't matter to me because I use them in my junk journals, so I'm not fussed if the other side is a little bit grubby. So I can use an old piece of artwork, something like this even, and it actually makes a really nice base to actually start your collages on and gives you some colour already to begin with. So that's an old piece that I might use to start. But today I'm going to show you with a virtually blank piece of paper. And I have here my glue, my PVA water-based glue, and I've put it in a yogurt pot or something just to make it easier, and my paintbrush, scissors, and just a selection of collage papers here. Okay, so let's go for it. So I just grab a piece of paper at random, tear a piece off, glue on the back, and stick it onto my base. Doesn't actually matter where it goes. And there's my first piece. This is how much thought goes into it. Not a lot. Okay, this piece has some numbers on it. Let's stick that down there. Okay, grab another piece. And I'm picking these pieces, as you can see, at random. All I'm trying to do is cover the whole of that piece of white paper or card, and colour. That's all I'm thinking about, is let's get some colour and shapes and variety on there. So these are just pieces that I've picked up randomly from my stash there. This is a piece of tissue paper with some numbers on it. Let's stick that down. There we go. That can go there. If I have creases in there, I might try and get those out a little bit. It's not critical. I literally am picking up and tearing these pieces of paper from the stash that I've just grabbed out ready, and I'm just laying them down totally at random, not thinking about it at all. Might be thinking about the colour of the pieces that I pick up very slightly, but not overly thinking about it. Just grabbing pieces at random. Already it's beginning to look colourful. Piece of tissue paper. Let's stick that down there. I just want to cover this piece of blank white paper. Another piece of tissue paper, getting sticky now. And Just sticking it down. There we go. So now I'm going to carry on in this vein, just sticking my pieces of paper down, as you can see. Oh, some words there, that will be nice. And I will speed the video up because you're going to get bored with seeing me just sticking these pieces of paper down at random. So I'll speed the video up from now on, and you can just see me adding the pieces of paper randomly. Okay, so this is the stage I'm currently at. I've now pasted on all my pieces of scrap pieces of paper. You'd laugh if you'd have seen me doing it, because as soon as I say I'll fast forward this for you, I then go into this fast forward motion and I paste things on really, really quickly, forgetting that I actually don't need to do that because the app will do it for me. So it's a good thing, because it meant that I didn't think about it. I just grabbed my pieces of paper, cut them, tore them, stuck them on, didn't think about it at all. And this is what I finished up with. So at this stage, I'll look at it and think, are there any areas there that don't have enough going on? I like it to be busy. And the way I do that is I use this little template piece of card that I've cut, which is sort of gift tag shaped. And I'll lay it over areas to see if I think there's enough going on in those areas. And that way I can look at them and think, yes, I like, or no, I don't like. I'm not overly fussy, but sometimes I find areas that don't have enough going on for me because I've left too much of one colour, in which case I'll fill it in with something like a piece of asemic writing. If you don't know what asemic writing is, it means writing that doesn't have has the smallest amount of meaning. So for instance, I'll get there, maybe I could do something. I'll get a fine tip marker pen and I'll just write some nonsense, and I'm writing it backwards. So and I'm actually writing my letters backwards, and sometimes I'm doing capitals and sometimes I'm doing small, and I try and write backwards in no particular, I'm actually writing words, but some of them are backwards, some of them are small capitals, big capitals, all sorts, and I'm just writing nonsense basically. I might do bigger, smaller, and there we go. There's my nonsense asemic writing, and that has now made that area maybe a little bit more interesting. So that's another option for you. Okay, the other thing you may have noticed I was doing in the video is I stick on little slivers of paper. You can see one here and there's another one here. These are just strips, little slivers that I've cut from paper, from my collage papers, and often these are left over actually from my paper beads that I make, which actually come from magazine papers, and that just breaks parts of the painting, the collage up as well. So once I'm happy with that, which I am, I will then leave it out in the sun to dry if you have sunshine, or if not, just leave it to air dry until you're happy that it's dry enough to carry on with. And now we're going to cut these up into gift tags. Okay, so now I have my finished sheet of collaged papers on there, and I'm going to cut this into gift tags. And to do that, you would think that I would be doing it from this side, but I don't want to do that. That's my choice because I don't want to be influenced by what's there. I just like mine to be random. So I'm going to turn this over. And the first thing I will do is cut off these edges. Now I use, for mine, I was a patchworker, so I have a rotary cutter and ruler. This is what I use. But you can also, and most of you will probably have a scalpel and ruler, or you could use just scissors. Just draw lines on there and use scissors. So first of all, I'm going to just cut off these bits that are hanging over the edge. And here. Sorry. And this bit here. Okay, so now I've got my straight edges, and I am going to cut mine. I make the best use of what I've got there. So I have got nearly 9 inches there by nearly 12 inches. So I'm going to cut mine 3 inches long. So let's do three inches. And 3 inches. So I didn't manage that one very well. And now I'm going to cut them. I'm actually going to cut them, I think, 2 1/4 wide. Not the easiest thing to do when you've got a camera overhead, which is actually just at my eye level. So I hope these are straight. So I'm doing them 2 1/4 inches wide. And I don't, as you see, have much waste there at all. Okay, and there we go. There are the first 5. And I'll continue now with the other 2 strips to cut the rest of them. Okay, we're on the homeward stretch, and here I have 15 of the gift tags that I've cut. This one I've already cut the corners ready, and I will show you how. So I am using my corner rounder punch. It's very easy. Just pop that in there and cut the corner on each of the corners, and there you have it. And now I need my single hole punch, and I do this by eye, so about 1/4 inch in, and in the center of the gift tag, and there's my hole. So now I need my threads to do the threads to hold the tags together. I have a selection here that I use of embroidery threads. They're variegated, that's just what I happen to have, but you can use any threads you like. You can even use a thin string. So here we go, there's my thread. I cut this about 10 inches long roughly, and I use my candle wax to wax the thread It just makes it easier to use, holds the threads together a bit more when it's been waxed. Now I will double it over like so and pop it through the hole. Okay, and just then pull that through there like so. Okay, got that. So we'll do it again. Let's do the corners first with the hole punch. Sorry, they were the corner punch. And now the hole punch by eye in the centre, and that 1/4 inch from the edge, and let's use a different colour this time. Let's use the turquoise. I'm going to wax my thread. This is just a candle, small candle I'm using. Run it through there, double it over, take the doubled end and pop it through. Sorry, pop it through there, open up and pop that end in and pull it through, and there's your tag. Now if you don't have a corner punch, you can just as easily round them off with scissors. It takes maybe fractionally longer. You're just literally nipping off or rounding off those corners, and you don't have to round them off. If you want to keep them square, you can keep them square. So there, I have done it with scissors. Okay, so there are some of your finished tags. And there you have it, your own selection of one-of-a-kind gift tags, individually made. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please give me a like, and you may choose to subscribe to my channel.